Hello, my name is Alaina Breitbach, and today I will be presenting on popular culture and its effects on women's perception of themselves. In the 21st century, popular culture creates and maintains ideological standards of beauty, and women's self-esteem and perception of themselves generally depends upon the standards of beauty presented to them. With this in mind, an important question has become, how does popular culture influence women's perception of themselves in the 21st century? Through an analysis of psychological, economic, and sociological perspectives, I came to the conclusion that popular culture negatively impacts women's perception of themselves. From the problematic modeling industry to systematic advertising to patriarchal film representation, women face oppressions through popular culture on a daily basis. In the opening chapter of Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass, a theme of perception unravels itself. When the character Alice passes through the glass and into the looking glass room, she finds that an unexpected scenario awaits her. Carroll writes, "She began looking about and noticed that what could be seen from the old room was quite common and uninteresting, but that all the rest was as different as possible." End quote. In other words, depending on the angle Alice looked through the looking glass, her perception of the objects in view changed. The idea of perception through a looking glass is an identical concept to how women view themselves through the looking glass of popular culture. When viewing images crafted by professionals that are edited and retouched to perfection, women fall into the trap of believing these creations are the standard and find themselves trying to imitate them. Their struggles are to no avail, however, due to the fact that these images are intended to be a display of perfection, which is emotionally damaging to perceive as well as burdensome to strive for. The first issue is that methods used by the modeling industry to present the epitome of beauty instill a feeling of being subpar in women of all ages. Specifically, the method of projecting overly sexualized women has negative implications for women's perception of themselves. A study at the University of Missouri-Columbia, in which 81 European American women participated in, found that women of all sizes reported having lower self-esteem after viewing images of highly sexualized models, contrary to their original hypothesis. All of the women were equally affected and responded with feelings of negativity toward their bodies. Building upon the idea from the study, Susan Bordeaux, a professor of women and gender studies from the University of Kentucky and author of Unbearable Weight, Feminism, Western Culture, and the Body, discusses the styles by which the body image standards have evolved. She refers directly to the celebrity images and highlights the dangerous connection between these creations and the everyday woman. She also proposes that images of perfect women are teaching us what to expect from flesh and blood. In other words, these images are training women to expect natural perfection from their bodies and unrealistic and unreasonable demand. The body shape of idealized, unnaturally thin models presented in the modeling industry plays a crucial role in determining the standard for women to strive for, which is often the most common cause of eating disorders. Although found in both men and women, 90% of cases affect the latter. The expectation to become the ideal version of beauty leaves women more susceptible to unhealthy dieted eating. The most common form of these eating disorders is anorexia nervosa, a condition in which the patient starves themselves. This suggests that women are especially prone to feeling pressure to conform to a thin, almost skeletal standard based off of societal expectations. The accepted standard of attractiveness for women in society changes throughout decades. Because of this, women feel pressured to change with them. Today, companies specializing in bodily enhancement feed off of women struggling with these fluctuating societal expectations. This consists of a large amount of money spent toward achieving the rail-thin, cosmetic-coated epitome. From an economic standpoint, the average amount of money women spend on permanent body-enhancing treatments products is a major burden. In 1990, women were found to spend a total of approximately $1.2 billion. This number increased exponentially throughout the next few decades, and according to the American Society of Aesthetic Plastic Surgery, about $8.5 billion was spent in 2016 on invasive surgical procedures dedicated to enhancing physical characteristics. This number does not include the other $6.8 billion spent on non-invasive procedures such as injections and skin rejuvenation. Makeup, a temporary aspect of physical enhancement, also puts a strain on women's checkbooks. In a national survey conducted by beauty and skincare company Skin Store, the average American woman accumulates a daily facial worth of $8, totaling up to $300,000 in facial products in her lifetime. This exorbitant spending traces back to women's need to create a beautiful appearance after feeling the need to physically alter themselves to be perceived as attractive. Further, the portrayal of women in film fosters a patriarchal setting that leads women to feel inferior to their male counterparts. Throughout the course of history and still the present day, women are depicted less than men in leading roles in movies and television shows. Of the 4,583 speaking characters present in the top 100 fictional films of 2016, only 31.4% were female. Essentially, for every woman in a film, viewers will witness 2.18 males. The less common roles, ones allotted to women, tend to portray them as weak, as well as needing to seek fulfillment in romance. When the 2007 movie Enchanted was released, Walt Disney Studios promoted it as a parody to the traditional damsel in distress storyline. Despite these proclamations, however, the storyline of Enchanted consists of a female protagonist, Princess Giselle, who seeks romance to personally fulfill herself. To assess movies like this, American cartoonist Alison Bechdel created a comic strip that sparked the famous standards for the Bechdel test. The Bechdel test is a set of 3 rules. 1, it has to have at least 2 women in it, who 2, talk to each other about 3, something besides a man. This guideline seems relatively simple, but a large amount of films still do not make the cut. Because of this, women's exposure to characters they can relate with is slim, and their choices of films to watch tend to be limited to options with a patriarchal setting. A plausible solution to popular culture's negative effects comes in the article, Portrayal of Body Image Through Social Media and Its Implications, from the Imperial Journal of Interdisciplinary Research. A solution is projected to transform the way women are depicted through popular culture platforms, specifically media works. A wider variety of body types should be represented on the runway, in movies, and across social media. Creating a broader range of body types portrayed would provide women with multiple definitions of beauty and therefore lessen the pressure to conform to one ideal. Furthermore, the difference between thin and fit must be clearly defined. Women choosing to be fit by exercising regularly and eating well is healthy. Women striving for thin by starving themselves and excessively exercising is unhealthy. The line between these needs to be properly expressed to the public. Asking the public to accept multiple new standards of beauty may cause tensions within society and could present itself as a limitation. However, this solution contains positive implications in removing strains placed on women to be society's definition of perfect. In film, a gender-equal cast should be featured in all movies, regardless of the topic. While some movie topics may inhibit the ability to incorporate equal amounts of men and women, the attempt to create a gender-balanced cast would ensure a proportionate depiction of both male and female characters. The increase of female characters would expose women to more roles they can relate to, especially if they possess positive characteristics. In addition, stereotypical female characters portrayed as vulnerable and romantic need to be replaced by characters who portray women as strong and independent. Overall, if both measures are taken, the extent of negative oppressions on women would not be as prevalent and would be a step in the right direction for women everywhere.
Alaina, thank you. So the first of 2 questions, could you tell me what information did you need that you weren't able to find or locate, and then how did you go about finding it?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, sure. So I'm asking you what information did you need that you weren't able to find in your research?
It was difficult to find credible sources that dealt with psychological effects of advertising, and so I tweaked the focus of that claim and made it more economic-based and went using evidence more numerically based off of procedures that occurred.
Okay. All right, thanks. And then second, what advice would you have for other researchers who consider your topic?
I guess generally make sure to keep your information organized, but specifically the modeling industry has a large influence on how body images can be perceived in either a negative or a positive connotation. So just use that to your advantage when determining the answer.
Okay, all right, thanks.